We're about to dive into one of the biggest and honestly, one of the most personal mysteries of the human mind. That strange, blank space right at the very beginning of your life story.
So I want you to actually do this. Take a second. What is your very first memory? Can you pinpoint it? Maybe it's a feeling, a smell, a blurry image of a birthday cake. Just try to grab onto it for a second. Okay, got something? Well, whatever you just thought of, I'm willing to bet it happened after you turned 3. Because for pretty much all of us, those first few years of life are a complete and total blank. It's this massive void where some of the most important experiences of our lives should be.
And hey, it's not just you. This is a universal human experience, and it actually has a scientific name, infantile amnesia. Sigmund Freud was the one who coined the term, and it really points to this huge paradox, right? We learn more in our first 3 years than at pretty much any other time in our lives, but we have almost no conscious record of it. So where did all those memories go?
To solve this mystery, we gotta look at a few crucial clues that scientists have uncovered. Let's start with the first, and you could argue the most important one, the moment we realize we are the main character in our own story.
The idea here is actually really simple, but also kind of profound. To have a life story, to have memories, you first need a self. It seems obvious to us now, right? But for a baby, that is a revolutionary discovery. Before you can have memories that belong to you, you have to figure out what you even is.
There's this famous experiment called the Rouge Test that shows us almost exactly when this happens. Picture this. Before about 18 months old, you put a baby in front of a mirror, and they'll wave and babble at what they think is a brand new friend. But then, a researcher sneakily puts a little smudge of red lipstick, rouge, on the baby's nose. Before 18 months, nothing. The baby points at the other baby in the mirror. But after 18 months, something amazing happens. The child looks in the mirror and touches their own nose. That's it. That's the moment the concept of I is born.
As psychologist Dr. James Howe puts it so well, before that sense of I exists, all your experiences are just floating data points. They have nowhere to stick. The birth of the self is like your mind finally building the very first shelf to put a memory on.
Okay, so we've got a main character, me, but that's not quite enough to form a lasting memory. The next piece of the puzzle is having the right tools to actually build the story.
And that tool, it turns out, is language, and more specifically, how our parents talk to us about things that happened. Researchers have found 2 really different styles. A low laboratory style is just the facts, very back and forth. Did you have fun? Yes. What did you see? A lion. But a high laboratory style is different. It's full of open-ended questions that teach a kid the very structure of a story.
You see, those questions, who, what, where, when, they act like social scaffolding. They're essentially installing the operating system for your autobiographical memory. It gives the child the framework, the filing system, to organize their experiences into a real narrative they can store and, crucially, pull up later.
So we have a sense of self, and we have the language to build stories. That should be it, right? Case closed? Well, here comes the big biological twist. For years, scientists just assumed we forgot our baby years because our brains were too simple, too underdeveloped. The new thinking? It's the exact opposite. We might forget because our brains are too active.
See, it all comes down to a part of your brain called the hippocampus. Think of it as your brain's recording studio. During your first few years of life, this area is undergoing a massive construction boom called neurogenesis. It is just birthing millions and millions of new neurons. Now, this is fantastic for learning how to walk, talk, and understand the world. But it comes with a major side effect.
All that new construction, all those new neurons growing at an extremely high rate between ages 0 and 3, they essentially overwrite the existing circuits. It's like trying to save a file on a hard drive that is constantly being reformatted. The old data, your baby memories, just gets wiped clean. But as that rate of neurogenesis slows down, the brain's forest finally stabilizes, and your memories have a permanent place to take root and grow.
So let's put it all together. To form a lasting memory, you need 3 things to line up: a sense of self, the language to build a story, and a brain that has finally finished its frantic early life construction project. And when all those pieces finally click into place, it reveals a really surprising truth about what our memories are even for.
Because this leads to one final, kind of mind-bending question. Even those early memories you think you have, can you actually trust them?
Well, it turns out that many of our earliest memories are what scientists call fictive memories. Think about it. If you've heard your parents tell the story of your second birthday 100 times, or you've stared at that photo of you covered in spaghetti, your brain can take that information and reconstruct it. rendering it as a first-person experience. It feels completely 100% real, even if you never actually stored the original event yourself.
And that's because, ultimately, memory was never designed to be a perfect video camera, faithfully recording the past. Its real job, its true purpose, is to build our identity. We selectively keep, and sometimes even create, the memories that help tell us who we are.
Which brings us to this final thought. We aren't just the sum of our experiences, we're the editors of our own past. We are the stories we tell ourselves about who we've been, who we are now, and who we're going to become. And that incredible, lifelong story, it begins the moment we finally emerge from that fog and realize, for the very first time, I was there.